Red Talk.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Humble Podcast Episode 2. We're excited to be here again with you. Last week was our first episode. We talked about, broke down the Lakers-Kings game. We were excited to do that. So this week, we decided to do another game. We left it up to Casey to choose the game this week. Case, you ended up choosing 1999 playoffs, Houston Rockets at Los Angeles Lakers. What was your reason for maybe choosing that game? Why did you think that was an important one for us to look at and talk about?
I thought there was a few reasons. The first one was I thought it was kind of cool how you had the old kind of stars like Hakeem and Barkley, and then you had like the up-and-comers, or even Pippen including in that, but then you had the up-and-comers like Shaq, Kobe, the young guns kind of coming for the older guys, and it was kind of like the old regime going against the new regime.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought it was kind of cool how they played kind of like a mixture brand of like the old school, new school. They take threes, but it was within the offense. And back then they didn't take threes, but in this, I felt like the late 90s, they started to develop that like inside out. And so I thought it was kind of cool just to see like the older guys against the young guys, because they all, I think in that game, I want to say there was 5 Hall of Famers. So I thought it was kind of cool.
Kind of good to look back at. I want to ask you though. I was thinking when I was watching the game, I was like, I wonder why he chose this game. I guess I'm curious. What was it that did you see the game on TV before, or why this, or did you look up this game? Like, I'm just curious why this game.
Yeah, because I remember watching it at my uncle's house, and he's a diehard Lakers fan, and I remember
Pablo?
Uncle Pablo, the man of the hour. And just the bias of it, and that's when I really hated the Lakers. But
yeah, Paul, if you're out
I
there
was only
listening,
12
we know
at
you
that
love
time.
the Lakers, my man. We know you love the Lakers. You're part of the reason we hate it.
How many Lakers games we've done? You think we love the Lakers ourselves?
I think.
Yeah, but I was 12 years old, so that was like the first time, like not the first time, but like where I really like got into basketball, and I was like, I actually know what's going on. So
for sure. Tyler, what did you think? Anything just the thoughts about the game or what you were looking at going into it?
Well, I was always a big Barkley fan as a kid. I had a shirt that said "Best in the West," and like, it was interesting. And Hakeem is amazing. He's always you never appreciate him enough until you.
And it's kind of weird to look back at. I'm with you. I don't think we do appreciate him enough. I think sometimes because he won those championships without Jordan, he's kind of underappreciated a little bit more because of that. He kind of
there's always that asterisk kind of.
Yeah. So I thought I was just amazed by how different the game was. Obviously, again, like how
talking about how different the game is. One of my big notes was, I think part of the death of the big man was the change of the illegal defense to allowing zone defense, like in a way. In the whole fourth quarter, they'd put Barkley down on the block and have 4 guys, and you couldn't double. And if you did, you were leaving a shooter open.
The thing I kind of forgot, though, is they actually called 3 seconds for defense back then. I didn't know that. I didn't know it started that early.
No, they would call illegal defense.
What was the rule? You couldn't be an arm length.
You couldn't go under, like, below the free throw line without being within, like, an arm length of.
Yeah, and I honestly.
And if you doubled, you have to fully commit to doubling.
Yeah, I always thought it was a horrible rule.
But I think it helped big man dominate when.
Well, yeah,
nobody can
double you. Yeah, for sure. I think that part also stuck out to me, and then I think the other part that I was curious to watch was the older version Rockets versus the pre-champion Lakers. So, like, to actually see what they look like before they won a championship, that's a different type of team. You know what I mean? Just the energy and stuff like that. So, I was kind of interested to see their enthusiasm, and then it was pretty fun to not see a lazy Shaq either. Like, to kind of see a Shaq that was out there, like, fully gung-ho kind of. So that's kind of what I was looking for. Yeah.
Another thing I appreciated was the old school jerseys the Lakers wore versus the new cartoonist NBA jerseys of the late 90s that were terrible.
Oh, I'm going to get to that later on in this thing. Right?
Okay.
I'm going to get to that later on. Because I was thinking the same thing. All right, let's set up the game here. So 1999 first round playoff. Lakers will start in 95. Just real quick here. Second round loss. That's when they had a team of Van Exel, Divac, Campbell, Anthony Peeler, and Cedric Ceballos were their starters. A pretty
Was
good
it Eddie
team,
Jones around?
but he was off the bench at that point. And then 96 comes around. They obviously trade Divac for Kobe that season to start out the year. He doesn't play much during the season or the playoffs. They lose in the first round to the Rockets. That's the first year that Magic, he came back and he played for that half a season or something like that. So he came back. Yeah, they came back. He lost. They ended up losing in the first round there, like I said, to the Rockets. We get to 97. They acquire Fox in the offseason through free agency. So he's kind of one of those pieces to start to kind of get to the championship fold. They end up trading for Horry. I'll kind of get into that trade a little bit more or a little later. To me, that was an interesting nugget, the Horry part of this when I researched it. So he goes there in 97. So that kind of starts the whole kind of start of their core of their team, basically, championship core. They do, and then they obviously get the biggest piece, which is Shaq from Orlando in free agency. So that's 97 year. They beat the Blazers in the fourth round. They're the fourth seed again.
Kobe was there a year before Shaq?
He was, yeah.
Okay.
And so they got him that year after. And then because I believe Shaq in 96, they lose to the Bulls, I want to say, the Eastern Conference Finals. And then he leaves that year after. So they lose in the 4 seed there. And then so we get to 97, like I said, Shaq. They beat the Blazers in the first round. They're the 4 seed again. In game 3, I thought it was interesting. I was following Kobe along the way. He scored 22 points in garbage time in game 3. He played 26 minutes, but he didn't play much the rest of the series. But when they get to 97, or when they get to the interesting about 97 is you kind of remember Kobe for those famous like air balls against Utah. Yeah. You ever heard those stories or something like that? Well, yeah, of course. I wasn't sure what game it actually was. So it was
game 5, right?
Game 5, but in the 1997 second round series against Utah. He struggled mightily in that series, though. He did play more. He played the 7th most minutes. He went 12 for 38, 9 assists.
In the whole series or in a game?
The whole series.
Okay,
but that's still pretty bad. Yeah.
No, it's awful, but that's not right. Yeah.
316, a 31% field goal percentage. He averaged 8 points per game, and obviously the 4 air balls. I just thought it was kind of a funny note to kind of see his climb as we got up there. So we get to 97, 98. They lose. They beat the Blazers in the first round. Kobe is still coming off the bench at that point. He's obviously starting to get a little bit more.
What was his first All-Star game?
I believe, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Because he made it. I think it was his second year, but then he missed it his third year, and then he made it every year after that.
Yeah,
something like that. I know he missed it one time in the.
I think you're right. I think you're right. I think it was the second year.
And he wasn't even starting on his own team at that point.
No, he wasn't. And so Kobe's. Then they beat the Sonics in the second seed, and then they lose to the Jazz in the conference finals in 1998. So
the Jazz are always tough,
and they sweep them. The Jazz don't even lose a game to them, so they're just you're bringing up the double thing, and it's probably the Jazz. They just Karl Malone. They just couldn't do it.
God, I feel bad for the Jazz, man. If the Jordan wasn't in there, they would have won back-to-back titles. That's such a good team.
Yeah, there's. I think that will be one of those games we'll have to go back and watch to kind of see one of those swing games in that series. That'd be fun to kind of go back and see where the change there.
That's the team I hated in the NBA back then.
So in 90, I do want to bring up that we get to the Rockets now. The Rockets obviously are coming off the 2 championships without Jordan, right? They get the one against the Knicks. They get the second one against Shaq and the Magic. And Hakeem dominates Shaq in that series. 96 season, they go through the season, same players. In that off season, they trade. Barkley wants a trade, and they trade him to the Suns, or the Suns trade him to the Rockets. The Suns get Sam Cassell, Robert Horry, Mark Bryant, and Chucky Brown. So those are the guys that get traded for Charles Barkley in the 96 off season. So going into the 97 year. they lose to the Jazz in the Western Conference Finals that year. That's the one that John Stockton, I don't know if you remember, Casey, he hits that 3-pointer to send the Jazz to. So that was probably their.
Was
that was
that
probably
game
their,
7?
That was a game 6 in you. So they would have had to still beat
in Houston.
Yes,
No, that was in
It was in
It was
Houston.
in Houston.
Yeah, and they would have had to obviously then go to. I believe they would have been back in Utah. I
don't know how that worked back then.
I think it was still a 2-2-1. I think it was just the finals that was like that.
Okay.
So we get to that point there. That was probably the big season for the Rockets. Looking back at their history, that was probably their best chance. A younger Barkley. The other thing too, I found out about that first year he joined the Rockets, I thought was funny, is that they started out the season, I guess, 21-2, which was pretty damn good, right? And then, but I guess in the midst of that, they also had in that season, they also had 2 7-game losing streaks. I just thought that was kind of a weird thing. So Barkley
just getting bored with the process.
Barkley started to break down after that 97 year. He gets hurt in 98, and that sets up. He gets hurt in 98 so much that he's coming off the bench. I looked up in the playoffs. He's coming off the bench there. And so they lose in the first round. And so then we get to 99. Olajuwon and Barkley are both pretty much at the end, 2 years away from pretty much both retiring. We don't know that at the time. But I think that's the part I was kind of looking forward to see how they played at that point. So
I didn't realize Charles was 37 in that series against the Lakers in 99.
Yeah, he was an old 37, to be honest. You know what I mean? He was even older than that. He wasn't in the best physical condition probably. So,
you could tell though he still had game though.
Yeah. So I wanted to bring up one point though that I thought was kind of funny before we get into the game was I wanted to comment on that Horry trade. So I don't know if you guys realized that when I said he got traded for Charles Barkley, right? So he was on the Rockets. He gets traded to the Suns. Okay, with Sam Cassell. I had no idea that he was on the Suns at any point. So he was only on there for 25 games. So I click on the article and I go back to when he was traded from the Suns to the Lakers. And apparently a couple of games before he was suspended for throwing a towel at his coach Danny Ainge's face for taking him out of the game, and he didn't like it. So he threw a towel at him. And so he got suspended a couple of games.
He was a malcontent? No one talks about Robert Horry having a bad tooth.
Exactly. So I looked it up, and he gets traded a couple of days later to the Lakers, along with the big man. We all remember the white guy, Joe Klein, for Cedric.
I do not remember Calvin Klein's little brother.
I did think it was funny. Shaq made a funny quote. He goes, "Joe Klein will be a good backup center for us." And then he goes, and then the Suns get Cedric Ceballos back again, the second time.
Couldn't get enough.
So they got off.
Teddy Bear.
So obviously that was a pretty bad trade for the Suns at that point. So
this has nothing to do with the game we watched, but how long did Cassell play on the Suns?
You know what? I didn't look that part up, but my guess is he played probably through the season and then ended up in Milwaukee shortly after that.
Oh, yeah. Because I have no idea of him playing for the Suns. I would have never. Yeah, I've never even seen a picture of him in a Suns uniform.
He didn't play more than 20 games, like I said. So, my guess is Cassell played a season with the Suns.
And this was Hakeem. Back to this game, but this was Hakeem's first year playing with no Jordan again. We're probably thinking, okay, well, they won it the last 2 years. Jordan wasn't in the league.
Yeah, so you're probably thinking he's going to maybe be the top guy. And he does play pretty well in this game, to be honest.
They don't give him the damn ball enough.
Let's look it up. He played 22 games, and then he was 22 games with Phoenix. He was traded 3 times that year. He was traded from Phoenix to Dallas in the Jason Kidd trade, and then he was traded Cassell, and then he was traded to the Nets from Dallas to New Jersey that same year. So I forgot he played for the Nets for 2 years, 3 years, and then he went to Milwaukee for 4, and then ended up with Minnesota for a little bit. So, anyways, that's Cassell. So that sets up the game here. Should we get into it, gentlemen?
Let's roll.
Start the tip off. All right. Well,
no gloves.
No gloves. So first thing I noticed, the very first, I think the Rockets got off the first basket, but then the first dunk for Shaq was a lively dunk. It was just I just got when he threw it down, I was like, oh, this is going to be kind of fun to see him again because, like I said, it's pre-champion Lakers, so he's got motivation behind him. So I think that was kind of what was fun about it. He has a lot to prove. And you
He's
can kind
never
of
won
see
a chip. He's never won a championship. He's like, you could tell he's ready, man.
Yeah, he's definitely ready. So they get in. So they're kind of going back and forth a little bit. We get to a 16-15 score with 4 minutes left after Fisher's three, and the Lakers don't score for the rest of the first quarter after that. I don't think we're going to waste too much time on the first quarter. It was pretty much a rock fight. It was 22-15 after, but I do think the things that we did notice was Shaq did look alive, and it looked like the Pistons or the Rockets were they were the veteran team. They came out, you could tell, just a little bit more wiser, I guess, for the first 12 minutes, but you could tell that their youthfulness was going to not pay off probably in the end a little bit.
There was also 3 traveling calls in less than a minute.
Casey didn't say that. Hey, what did you guys think of I'll bring it up later, but what did you guys think of Pippen going into this game? So obviously we've been watching the Last Dance thing. And so I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on Pippen. Going into this game, I wasn't sure really what to expect, and I wasn't really that impressed with him in this game. I mean, he had some moments here or there, but I know he's not younger one, but it just, I don't know. What did you guys?
I thought he played like garbage.
Yeah, I didn't.
Glenn Rice looked like a better player.
Yeah,
He just looked tentative, like he was like the third fiddle. Like it was like, all right, Hakeem.
Yeah, he also probably didn't feel like he belonged.
Yeah, he was only there
Plus,
once on the Rockets.
I thought it was kind of a bad fit though, because the Bulls, they do more of a, I wouldn't say run and gun, but it was more like up tempo, and the Rockets, like they played like pretty much like.
See, I don't know if I would agree with that, because I don't know if the Bulls did play up tempo, because they played that triangle offense.
Well, they would play up. If you got a turnover, they'd run.
Yeah,
exactly. And you had guys to run.
By this time, too, Scotty's probably getting closer to the end, right? Because he's coming off those back injuries in Chicago too, and right, he's probably coming a little bit. It's probably the perfect team for him in a sense, because they're old. He doesn't have to run as much in some ways.
Yeah, but I think it limited his talents where he couldn't. I mean, I don't even think he took a 3-pointer in the game. I could be wrong, but I watched all of it, but I don't recall him shooting a 3. But he did have a nice alley-oop dunk towards the end. You could tell he's still mentally smart and good enough and gifted, but you could tell his legs. You could just tell by moving, his legs were not.
He reminded me a lot of Iguodala the last 2 years.
I also read something
that's a good one right there.
Pippen only played 1 year on the Rockets because him and Barkley did not like each other from.
Yeah, I could see that being. I could see that being an issue at times. I just want to give us Pippen's stats real quick. That year, 14.5 points, 6 assists, 6.5 rebounds, 2 steals, 1.4 threes, 43 field goal percentage. If that's not Andre Iguodala 12th year stats, you know what I mean? Like, that's him like to a cup of coffee.
Right, be generous with the points on Andre.
Exactly. So we go to the second quarter here. 24-20, or it's 22-15 going into there. Glenn Rice really starts to pick it up to start that quarter. And the one thing I liked about what they were doing is they started to go to him a little bit more. I kind of like how they ran plays for him. Like, you know what I mean? They didn't get away from it. They did a good job, I thought, like actually running some pin downs, stuff I wasn't actually wasn't expecting him to actually run some motion, stuff like that. They did a few times also just post him up, which I thought was a good idea too. But it was I thought Glenn Rice really started to pick it up. It was kind of fun to see him play well.
The thing people don't mention about Glenn Rice, like, you talk about greatest forms and like NBA history, people talk about Ray Allen, Klay Thompson. Glenn Rice is right there with the way he shot the ball was pure.
Yeah, I think he would be a much better player in this era because of obviously them being able to shoot so many more threes. I mean, he probably took I'm gonna be curious to look up his stats here in a minute, but I'd be curious to see how many threes he averaged a game. My guess is under 5.
I would go 4. Not, but I don't know.
Not makes attempts.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing if he played nowadays, he'd probably get close to 10 attempts a game, maybe 8.
Going into that fourth quarter, which is bouncing ahead. He was I think 12. He was 12 for 15 at one point.
Yeah, he played very well in this game for sure. I also thought in this game the Rockets are still ahead. They get up 26-20 on a Hakeem Olajuwon baseline fadeaway. I mean, just a super, super shot. The guy's just – it's funny watching these games because we haven't had a good big man in such a long time. I'm just like, man, these guys are like – their footwork is unreal.
Every time he shot, I was like, oh, nothing but net, nothing but net.
And then Shaq just would constantly – the thing Shaq did then, which he didn't do towards the end of his career, he would run and get that deep position, you could tell more. And he got a lot of easy shots because of that, and obviously he got fouled quite a bit as well. How do you think Shaq would fare now with the rules and pace? You think he'd be just fine?
Just fine. Yeah, I think he'd be just fine. I don't know if he'd be the yeah, I think he'd be maybe even better in a way.
Yeah. Case, what do you think?
I mean, how many defensive 3 seconds would get called? My God. I mean, just trying to double. I mean, especially with a 3-point league now. I mean, when they used to kick it down in the post, if someone came to double and you have a sharpshooter, I mean, that's like cash money every single time.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, you're either shooting 60% from the post or you're shooting 40% for the 3. Pick your poison.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. Tyler, you got anything else on that one?
Yeah, I think he'd be just fine, if not better.
Yeah, I think he'd be better. I think he'd be obviously better too. I just think it'd just be.
It might be different.
Yeah, I'll save my point on him for the end there, but I think he would be just fine now. Obviously,
I don't even think anyone in the league weighs over 300 pounds anymore.
Most of the time, if you're a 50,
no, Zion, I think was the heaviest player going into this year.
Was he?
Like 285, right? Something
yeah.
Like that. Yeah, I mean, Shaq was what, like, with 320,
330? I mean, in his heyday, 350.
I can't believe Sam Adams isn't bigger than Zion. I would think that guy's like.
No, he's like 240.
Steven.
250.
We'll keep moving here. Glenn Rice, he's like you said, Casey's playing well. He gets 28-26 on a nice little fadeaway. Then Kobe kind of starts to pick it up a little bit. The Lakers start to really kind of pick up their game. They start to play at a much faster pace that the Rockets can't keep up with. 33-30 on a Kobe 3. I thought a horrible white guy checks in, Brett Price. He did absolutely nothing in this game. It's hard to believe those guys even played that.
Is he related to Mark?
He is. It's his brother. 36-30. Shaq steals it, brings it up, lobs it to Kobe. I thought that was maybe one of the plays of the game. That was an awesome play. Shaq getting the ball, stealing at the free throw line. And
that was unreal.
That was a nice play. That was exciting to see.
Did we get the Bryce Drew?
We're not there yet.
How the hell did he make the NBA?
Okay, hold on. We're gonna get there. Because I got something.
That was the best play of the game by far, though. The Shaq.
Oh, that was unreal. Shaq and Kobe.
I like the youthfulness of like Kobe, like just giving that pump. You know what I mean? Just kind of like that.
And then Shaq celebrating down the court, like Hakeem's laughing at him, kind of like. Did you guys see that?
And then I love it because I wrote down Hakeem hits the very next shot.
Yeah.
Out of fadeaway.
That's the veteran presence where you're just like, all right, yeah, calm down a little bit. You know, that's a cool play, but we're gonna go back to playing basketball.
Yeah, that's actually funny. I wrote down Hakeem smiles and then gets a beautiful fadeaway.
Yeah, Hakeem smiles while he's guarding Shaq in the post.
And he was pretty much on fire. He had 15 points, 6 rebounds, 7 for 8. And the only thing that stopped him was foul trouble. Shaq just got him in too much foul trouble.
They stopped themselves. They wouldn't give him the ball every time down.
That as well.
Fisher, like, why are these guys keep taking these terrible shots when you have Hakeem? Literally, it's impossible to stop.
Yeah, you. I think when we get to like what were the coaching decisions of the game, I think that could be one of them for sure. That was not, just keep it simple, kind of like how you were doing to Shaq at the end of the game. Maybe do that to Olajuwon.
Yeah, or do it to Chuck for early in the game. Who can't just give it to one of them? You can't guard them one-on-one.
For sure. Especially when you get. I mean, and Shaq's not a great defender. I thought, Fisher also, he played a pretty big role, I thought, in this game. He obviously, like you said, the rules are a little different, so he's getting wide open threes. But to his credit, he makes them, and he plays. He's not John Stockton, but what I mean by John Stockton is like he kind of has a toughness to him. Like that's I think why he's sustained in the league. That's great.
I've got to interject. Derek Fisher was not the only reason, but he was probably the player of the game for the Lakers.
Well, we can debate that towards the end of the game.
I would
disagree.
He made probably 4.
How many beverages have he had right now?
I wrote down Derek Fisher makes winning plays. Like
you wouldn't even know that he had more points than Kobe, and he played more minutes than Kobe that game.
I mean,
Yeah. Because Kobe was
I
in
was
foul trouble.
surprised Derek Harper played so many minutes. I'm like, why are they playing this guy so much?
I thought it was funny when they mentioned Derek Harper. They're like, he played a lot early in the season, but now he's too darn
breaking
tired.
down.
He's breaking down. Well, nowadays he would have probably had like 35 days of rest. He probably went to play
Yeah.
for 35 games.
I feel like we might still watch a different part of the game because I feel like Derek Fisher was making the best plays in the game.
Well, I'm going to say he was an important part. I'm not going to say he's the best part. I would say, but I would say he was definitely. He made.
The most crucial.
He made winning plays for sure.
I mean, Glenn Rice
done his whole career.
I thought in the second quarter, I know Charles Barkley doesn't play bad, but I thought also you could tell he just looked a little older in this. You know what I mean? Like it'd be fun to watch more of a prime Chuck at some point because when watching this, you just know there's another level that he has.
Oh, for sure. I still felt like he was the third best player on the court.
I felt like it, but I felt like he was more like Zach Randolph at this point, like not jumping or you know what I mean, just not getting out there.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, it's just funny when I look back at the starting lineups and you read it on paper, you're like, no way when you go, the Lakers start J.R. Reed, Glenn Rice, Shaq, Derek Fisher, and Kobe. And you're like, that's pretty good. And then you're like, oh, Charles Barkley, Scottie Pippen, Hakeem Olajuwon, Katina Mobley, and Michael Dickerson. You're like, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah. We're going to get to MD later in this game because Casey's love this one.
Is his middle name Genuine?
All right, let's keep moving here. So 52-41. Rice hits a good 3-pointer at the end of that game. I thought it was funny that second quarter. I thought it was funny when Doug Collins goes, "Man, he shot that from way out there." And I look again. He's like probably a step behind the 3-point line.
Yeah, he's like 6 inches behind the 3-point line.
I was like, so I wanted to go back to the Glenn Rice part. I wanted to touch on his trade real quick. So he was drafted by the Heat in 1990. He then gets traded in part of the Alonzo Mourning trade. He and then
is Ronnie Cycli part of that trade, or was that Gugliotta?
Or
neither of them.
No, neither of those. Gugliotta
wasn't part of it.
No, Gugliotta was in the Weber trade. So Eddie Jones and Eldon Campbell get traded from the Lakers to the Hornets for Rice, J.R. Reed, and B.J. Armstrong. So I would say probably ultimately, I would say the Hornets probably made out better, but because of maybe the one championship Rice gets, maybe that gives them a little edge. But I would say Eddie Jones and Campbell were like on 5 straight Hornets all-star teams. I'm not saying they're better than him, but J.R. Reed and B.J. Armstrong were not on the Lakers anyways after you know what I mean? So
made all-star game. Eldon Campbell made 5 all-star games?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, remember he did start a few times on those Lakers teams too, before they got Shaq, and they were in the playoffs every year with Van Exel. And, did he make 5 all-star teams?
He was a good player. I just didn't know he was all-star player.
Did he make – I think Campbell not having him in this game definitely made it – you could see where him against Barkley, they would probably have a better advantage, but J.R. Reed was just getting abused left and right.
Is J.R. Reed famous for something? Is he –
No, I looked up his stats. Like he had a decent long career. He did I think he averaged like 8 points a game or something. But
where was he at in his career in this game?
I want to say he was like towards like the 8th, 9th year. I think he was with the Hornets before this, or the Hornets after this too. All right, so we get to halftime here, and anything stood out to you guys in the first halftime? They didn't do a halftime
something
show
that I've noticed in every game we've watched so far. I feel like there's been a buzzer beater at the end of the second quarter.
Yeah,
Barrett Davis, Samaki Walker.
You're right. That's crazy. That's funny, actually. That's a good note.
It's like, man, every game. It's not gonna have
the playoffs, baby.
All right, so Case, we're gonna get to the third quarter here. It's funny that I wrote down Michael Dickerson really sucked, I wrote that but to his credit, he does play a better third quarter. He actually plays a much better third quarter. His credit, but he was horrible at the beginning.
The funny part is I wrote down is Michael Dickerson actually had 11 points in that third quarter.
He did. That's why I said he was sucking, and then he actually ends up playing better as my notes go down. I wanted to make
an awful first half.
I wanted to touch on what Tyler said because this is where I think, like, as kids, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can be a general manager. Like, I mean, I really can. Like, I might not be able to do some of the other things, like money managing, or like in terms of like figure out these algorithms, but like just in terms of evaluating talent, it's just like mind-boggling.
At least a scout. I might not be able to do a salary cap, but I'll give you someone who can play.
Okay, so here's the draft for the Rockets that year. This is their rookie class. Michael Dickerson, I believe.
I think you were like, 14.
Let me just double check here.
Yeah, make sure it's correct.
But I wanted to talk about their rookies real quick. So Michael Dickerson, I believe, was from Tyler, your school.
Arizona.
Okay, so he's from Arizona.
I think
they end up getting Bryce Drew in the
from Valpo.
Yes, from Valpo, and then they end up getting Katino Mobley in the second round. So I thought it was funny that the best player they got in this draft and the guy they actually started in the game and eventually end up getting. Well, we won't give the end away quite yet, but the guy that ends up starting.
I have a lot to say about that one.
Plays most minutes. He's the second round pick, so it's kind of funny, just like the Draymond thing, kind of like I don't know. It's just funny how like all solid players, but like
Bryce Drew is not as solid.
Like, why in the world would Bryce Drew, in any world other than hitting a half court shot, get drafted ahead of Katino Mobley? It just boggles my mind.
It was a different game.
More of a reason not to. I mean, like.
Well, it's marketability.
It's Houston. It's like one of the biggest African American populations there.
Like Jimmer Fredette goes 8. It's why?
Well, 10.
10.
Because then we got Clay 11.
Frank Kaminsky. We could go on now.
Yeah, that's bad. We got Clay after Jimmer. Wow.
Here's a fun fact. Okay, how do I word this? Which white guy has been drafted the highest? Like, who is the last white guy to be drafted? I guess the top of the draft, the closest to
number one.
No, like 1, 2, 3,
Adam
like the highest.
Morrison?
No, I'll give you a clue. He did play for the Warriors.
Bob Sura.
Todd Fuller.
No.
Bob Sura.
He took off his shirt in anger one time.
Dunleavy?
He's the highest white guy taken.
Dunleavy.
Yes.
He was 4th, right?
Third.
Or 3rd. When did Morrison go?
I don't know.
Talk about the worst draft pick. The Warriors always drafted white players. Todd Fuller, Dunleavy, Murphy.
Hold on. I'm going to have to hang up.
I'm white.
I'll be right back, okay?
Okay.
BRP?
Hey, so Case.
No, I just have to take a phone call.
Hey, Case. So let's get
maybe that's Dunleavy getting on him.
So let's keep going through the game here. So so that draft, first of all, that draft was just kind of funny that Mobley, the best players, drafted later than Dickerson, and it's just kind of funny how that stuff works out. So Kobe has a nice reverse layup here. Doug Collins mentions how he loves going baseline. Kobe, I forgot, he had a lot of great dunks going baseline. That must have been like his patented move.
That was his forte, going left to right and then finishing
baseline like that. He would, and then he'd throw down those reverse jams.
And it's kind of funny because, like, you know how people compare him to Jordan? A lot of Jordan's famous dunks were on baseline.
Yeah.
You know, they were quicker, so it's like, you know, it's kind of like the bad boys rules is once he goes baseline, you hit him. And once he, you know, but back then, or fast forward to 1999, you can't just lay someone.
I just thought it was interesting that they made Doug Collins. He was able to kind of like notice that, like, hey, Kobe loves to go baseline, and then if you look out through all his career, he does like to go baseline. Like a lot of his great finishes and moves, he did have a good baseline game. So I thought
that's what I thought was kind of. I thought they had the perfect announcer because Doug Collins coached Michael Jordan when he was younger, and so the similarities weren't there yet, but I'm sure you could see flashes.
Doug had a nice term back in the day.
So, Casey, your boy hits a 3, Dickerson to go to take a 40 to be 56-48 Lakers.
When did he become my boy?
I think a couple weeks ago when you were defending him about how good he played in the national championship game against Kentucky. I think that's when he became your boy, in my opinion, because he had 5 points and you were talking him up pretty good.
I said he was supposed to be good. I didn't say he was being good. Bibby carried him instead of Jason Terry.
We're gonna do the PTI thing where I just start calling people your boys when you mentioned that one thing about him that you like. All right, so they're down by 8, the Rockets. Kobe picks up his 4th foul, and he only plays 27 minutes in the game, like you said, Case, because he's in foul trouble most of it. And then it's 58-51 after another Michael Dickerson shot. They kind of made a big point of this on the broadcast. Kobe was about to come out after he picked up that 4th foul, and Bob Costas makes a point after Kobe kind of forces a shot. He says, that's part of the problem with Kobe Bryant. You know, he forces those shots up, especially when he knew he was going to be coming out of the game there. He forced up that unnecessary shot. That's the thing of a young player. So I thought it was funny even back then, like, you know what I mean? Just funny hearing it from a guy, Kobe in his 3rd year. That was a thing. You know what I mean? That was definitely a thing, even towards the end of his career.
The Rockets did go on a big run, and Doug Collins did say, "Oh, they can't create anything with Kobe on the bench right now." Like, because Kobe was creating so much.
I'm not gonna lie. When I played basketball, if I knew the guy, I made the first one. And I saw the second guy was coming in. I didn't really want to make the second free throw, so I could stay in for long. I'm like, this guy's not as good as me. I'm gonna miss the second one on purpose.
The game starts to shift though. I feel like mid-3rd, like, yeah, Dickerson's hitting more shots, but like it just starts the Lakers really start to just play. I mean, Kobe gets in foul trouble. That's obviously a big deal, but they're playing so slow. They're just like their advantage over the Rockets is speed, and they're just playing so slow. Fisher hits a 3. We're at 64-55 here. Then they have the 3. They have the 3 fouls there. I wanted to see what you guys' opinion was. Do you ever feel like Shaq had a real move?
No. Getting position was his move.
I mean, to me, the only move I can really think about is like when he would spin right shoulder and kind of do that little kind of shot there. And I mean, yeah, once in a while he'd have some good footwork, but like not that go-to move that I kind of remember.
Strictly getting position.
And I think that's what hurt him probably towards the end of his career, just in terms of finesse game and stuff like that a little bit. But
in '99, did they have the 5-second offensive back to the basket rule?
I don't know. It didn't seem like they did.
No, because I felt like Barkley would take someone from the 3-point line sometimes.
Yeah. On that last foul J.R. Reed gets, I think he dribbled like 12 times.
It felt like you were playing one-on-one with your older brother.
He ripped my sword, damn it.
So the pace really starts to go down here. It's 69-64 after Shaq misses that free throw. Then they sit Dickerson, who was actually, like I said, playing well. I think, like you said, Casey had 11 points at that
just
point.
In the 3rd. He's just in the 3rd.
Yeah, so he was playing pretty well then at that point. I think it's funny how they have Antoine Carr getting a little run, and there's a play in that game where he like turns into him. Did you guys notice that? He got shot. He like
ran up the tunnel.
It makes it like all dramatic. I was like, what? I was like, that's a little dramatic. So Rice hits a shot, makes it 73-70. Hey, who does Glenn Rice remind you guys of? Anybody? I couldn't think of anybody. The only guy I could think of, but I don't even think it's a good comparison, is Richard Hamilton.
I was thinking more like a Glenn Robinson.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's not bad. I feel like that's not a horrible one. But I feel like Glenn was a little bit bigger.
And more of a not 2-point shooter.
Yeah, a little bit much more.
Glenn Rice, I feel like, was more of a 3 that posted up a lot. Like, I don't know how to. But he could shoot from range. Like, if.
That's why I'm having a hard time coming up with some guy.
I'd say Clay, but Clay doesn't spend any time in 2, and Clay's a way better shooter.
And Clay he runs a more. Yeah,
but it's also what they're asked to do. Like,
well, that's my point.
You just mean offense or defense or both?
I guess defense, there's no comparison anymore.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, he's a tough guy. He was a tough.
Glenn's also at the end of his career in this game.
Oh, it's his 10th year. Yeah, he's towards.
Well, that's the end of it. He only played, I think, 2 more after that.
Yeah, he can't play too much longer after that. All right, so we get to 70-70 or 77-70 after the 3rd quarter here. The one thing I did want to say real quick about Glenn Rice, the one thing I did like about his game though is his triple threat game is pretty good. So I think the guy I wrote down for him, and like I said, Richard Hamilton. Then I forgot to write this guy down. I put a poor man's Carmelo Anthony, because I feel like Carmelo is like he kind of had that like kind of structured game where he needed the ball and a catch a lot.
He did
Casey?
win an All-Star Game MVP, Glenn Rice.
Yeah, he made the All-Star game a few times, I
He
think.
won an All-Star Game MVP, though.
Yeah, that's impressive.
There's not too many
It's not too many.
average All-Stars win one. It's
No,
only like
that's true.
5 guys in.
That's true. And I think that's kind of the fun part about going back and doing this a little bit. Casey, like you mentioned earlier, Glenn Rice, 12 for 15 at that point. He's just playing out of his mind. I love how the Lakers continue to run stuff for him. 79-75 at that point.
The one thing I wanted to mention before I cut you off, though, is I
Just
think
cut
the
him
end of
off.
Yeah, just cut him off. What the heck? But no, he only had one bucket in the fourth quarter, and the last one he shot was an air ball.
A bad air ball.
A really
bad
bad
air
one.
ball at a bad time.
Wide open. What the
But he
heck
made the
was
first
that?
bucket of the fourth quarter. I was like, oh, he's gonna keep rolling, and then nothing.
No, I think that's the thing with Rice is kind of like I think that's where Anthony's probably a little bit better is like he probably couldn't get he couldn't get to the free throw line or to the basket like Anthony could in his prime basically, and obviously
I don't
Anthony
even
was
think
a
he
little bit
took a
more physical.
layup.
Yeah, I don't think he did either.
No, he had that travel layup where he got an and one on Pippen where he like shuffled his feet 3 times and
The Rockets keep going to Barkley in the fourth quarter though. That's the thing that they start doing. They start dumping it down to him and let him just take his go to work basically. I'm kind of surprised they're not doubling him at all. I understand why, but I'm just kind of surprised.
dribbling like 18 times.
Well, the times I did try the double, Darren Mack hit a couple big threes.
Return of the Mac.
Yeah, I mean he had a couple, but I don't know. It just seemed like Barkley was starting to kind of get it going and dictate the pace a little too much for me. If I was Kurt Rambis at that point. So Horry checks in the game. He hits a big 2, 81-77. Nothing really going on there for a few minutes there in the game. It kind of just staying stalwart. Nobody's really making any big plays. And then Mobley has that nice lob to Pippen there. That you talked
nice
about.
little alley-oop.
That little backdoor. Yeah, exactly. So now it's 82.
Who threw that? Mobley?
Mobley. And then I have Pippen drove baseline, kicks it out to Mack for a 3, 82-81 Rockets. So they take the lead there. Getting close to the end of the game here.
Now the game gets great.
Yeah, so then it starts to really start to pick up here a little bit more. The possessions get cleaner. The players start to make bigger shots and bigger plays. And I think when you're in the first game of a playoff too, I think it takes sometimes a half to feel out and get a little bit more, you know what I mean, just a little bit kind of into the game a little bit more like that. The other thing I thought that the Lakers kind of were doing a little too much. They're playing a little individual at times in that fourth quarter where they were kind of playing a little bit more of a system earlier in the game. But again, towards the end of the game, you have Shaq. You're probably going to dump it down more, so that's what's going to happen. Shaq walks down to Akeem to tie it up at 85. He basically just backs down and dunks it. Barkley has 2 layups.
Well, that's not Hakeem's fault, though, because he had 5 fouls. He couldn't even guard him at that point.
No, you're right. And I wrote down Shaq again, no double. Akeem has 5 fouls. He just gets an easy little layup there. And then Akeem hits a jumper, so we're 89-87. And then Fisher hits a big 3 to go 90-89. Basically your typical Fisher shot, kicked it out to him from Shaq at the post. Pretty basic shot for him, and he nails it in there. Like none of us are really surprised that he did that probably.
No, and a lot of that was predicated on Shaq with Hakeem with 5 fouls. So like, oh, we're just going to dare someone to make a 3.
Yeah, exactly. The thing I wanted to see what you guys thought is I notice a lot of teams in the last 2 minutes of games, I don't understand why they don't go to the post more. It really boggles my mind.
And this year or then?
Yeah, this there.
Still, like
I don't think there's that many guys who practice in the post.
And to me that's bad coaching. Obviously, like there's guys that can play in the post. Like these are NBA players, but they're
sometimes don't you think it's on the player though more than the coach, like to learn how to do that?
No, I think the coach. I think he has players that in the last 2 minutes of a game you can say, hey, we need to run. We need to get a better shot. They're gonna double you. Let's get it to you here. If they don't double you, you should probably get a good shot. If not, you'll kick it out for a better shot. I understand the perimeter in thing, but I just
who are these players that like the Rockets don't have anyone you can do that with?
On this team,
this team they do. They did it. This team, like nowadays, like Would you rather
Yeah.
have Harden at the top of the key or Harden and
Well, yeah, that team purposely got no
What about the
players.
Warriors?
The Warriors, like, at times, I think if they had a better post player, I think at times it'd be nice to go to the post a little bit more.
Just dump it
Well,
in.
yeah, it'd be nice if you had the player, but I just don't see the players there.
When they had Durant, yeah.
Yeah, that's my point. When you don't have a player.
But sometimes that would be the most frustrating part is when the Warriors would give the ball to Durant and it'd be isolated in that area and it'd be like, okay, here comes another contested shot.
I'm not frustrated about that when there's 2 minutes left in a close game.
Yeah,
I'm not frustrated about. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying last 2 minutes. I'm not saying the whole game. I'm saying when you need a shot, I don't think teams know how to go to the post well enough. I'm not saying that you have to run that. I'm just saying I don't think teams do.
Well, why would it frustrate you at the middle of the game, but not it'd frustrate you more at the end of the game more than?
Well, because sometimes at the end of those games, those possessions are critical, and so like why mess around with more passes when you can just dump it down to your best player and get a double team? That's kind of sometimes where I'm thinking with it a little bit. That's where my mind goes.
Fair enough.
With it.
I think we're getting a little sidetracked here. But,
Well, like I always think of
That's
LeBron
okay,
and the
I mean.
Cavs. Like when LeBron dominated the Warriors those last 3 games, he finally got smart. He'd slow it down. He'd start backing in, and he'd score. Or if they doubled, he'd kick it out for a good shot. I mean, that's just kind of how I just think that it's simple basketball at times when you have a player that can do it. Yeah, if you're the Rockets, and you have five small guys. Well, then of course you're not posting up anybody at the end of the game. But I don't know. I just thought that was kind of interesting. But I can see the argument against it too. Mac makes 2 free throws. We go to 96-94. Barkley's playing really well. He's got 24 points in the game, 11 in the fourth quarter. They don't play Glenn Rice much in the fourth quarter.
that's a defensive liability.
Apparently so, because he checks in with about 2 minutes left in the game. I say Barkley ISOs on J.R. Reed, takes the 13 dribbles. This is the possession where he does it the most. He literally takes like 12 dribbles on J.R. Reed. It's like boom, 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 and then he finally gets an and one layup on it up and under, and he gets so he goes up. They go up 97-94, and they make a comment, and that's sort of like, oh, that's where not having Eldon Campbell really makes a big difference. I was like, it's a good point, Doug. Eldon would have made a huge difference in this game. Did you guys catch that story that Costas told about him not doubling earlier in the season on Akeem Olajuwon and how that kind of started a rift between him and Rampus for a few weeks?
You're talking about Kobe?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard a little bit of that, yeah.
Yeah, so he at that, it's kind of weird he mentions it with 2 minutes left in the game, but he's like, that's part of the reason that Kobe wasn't doubling earlier. He said he didn't want to leave Shane Mack. He was too good of a shooter. It's like and so I thought it was kind of funny that they mentioned that in that point of the game. There's also no Olajuwon in the game.
Yeah, one of the dumbest mistakes is when they had which I again bring the Derek Fisher, Katina Mobley being a rookie, but he tries to pass it, but he realized halfway through his pass, he's like, oh, I shouldn't pass it. Fisher comes up with it, calls the timeout. Or no, excuse me, he gets fouled.
Well, we're not at that point yet.
No, I'm pretty close to it though.
We're almost there though. So it goes 98. So Fisher makes his 2 free throws. He makes a nice play. This is kind of where Fisher kind of is clutch. He just kind of has the guts to drive to the hoop, and he gets fouled basically. And, and then even Doug Collins is like, "Look at the confidence in that rookie. Look at the confidence in that Derek Fisher. What a confident rookie that is."
He's not a rookie.
No, he wasn't a rookie. He came in with Kobe.
A young player. Excuse me, confident young player. A confident young player because Harper was the veteran at that time.
Yeah.
Olajuwon then hits a nice spin on Reed. He goes 198. Horrible coaching. Of course, on his first possession in the game, he's going to make a shot. You know what I mean? Like, get the man in the game earlier, man. 1 minute left. They take a 2-point lead on Olajuwon's shot.
Is that the one where we got the and one?
No, he just hits the fade. And then
that comes later.
And then
I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting excited.
And then Rice, he does get the and one on that case. Yeah, you're right. He gets the spin on Reed, and then he does get the. No, it was a spin. I'm sorry, I wrong note. And then you guys touched it already. Glenn Rice, the next possession, puts up a nice, beautiful air ball.
Wide open too.
Wide open, like
he had alligator arms.
It was like the Robert Ory 3, but an air ball.
That was a pathetic one on that point.
He did this.
And then they go to I think the play of the game, and in some ways kind of an underrated play, and it's always, of course, Robert Horry. He's guarding Akeem Olajuwon, and he does a really good job on him on this last possession. Like, first of all, pushes him out probably another 4 feet from where he wants to get it, and then Akeem can't get by him on that on his initial move, and then has to spin baseline, and he contests a pretty good shot. It wasn't smooth, and of course Olajuwon, he airballs it too. I don't know if you guys remember that. He airballs his shot.
Yeah, he shoots it hella long.
Well, hella long, exactly. And so Horry again is always in the middle of these winning plays, it seems. But I wanted to point out on that play, to me, the underrated play of the game, it doesn't come back to matter too much, but
Barkley fouling Shaq.
I thought that was a smart play.
That was a genius play.
I mean, a genius play. So he fouls him. I believe Shaq only splits them 1 for 1, right?
Yeah,
so they're
the
1
first
for 1.
made the second.
And I want to say now they're up by 1 still.
Did we mention the Rockets missed free throws throughout this? Because Barkley missed one, and I think Akeem missed one.
Yeah, I think we're just about to get. I think after this Barkley one.
Okay.
He gets fouled there. Yeah, so then he gets there. So, but you're right. Barkley misses a couple possessions before. That's the one you're referring to when he fouls Reed out. He misses that one free throw, and Akeem Olajuwon's on the bench, and I showed, and he's like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, he did miss that big free throw there, which obviously comes back to bite him here. Casey, we get to the end of the game there, and
Who
they
let
give
the
the ball.
dogs out?
They give the ball to Pippen, and Pippen starts to drive left. He loses it. Casey, you were right. Fisher dies on it. He gets the ball, calls for the timeout. What'd you guys think? Were they going to go to Kobe last possession? What'd you think?
I thought they'd go to Kobe because you don't want to give the Shaq at that point, just because, I mean, free throws are a liability. I mean, who else are you going to go to?
I didn't know at that point.
So they do go to Kobe. They have Shane Mack on him, who wouldn't be on him 5 years. A couple of years after that, he wouldn't be on him.
Return of the Mac.
So it was kind of an unfortunate foul. He kind of crosses him.
He
up
just tumbled his legs. Yeah.
Yeah, he just kind of
easy call.
Easy call, and it just kind of wasn't kind of terrible defense. Kobe makes two free throws, go up 101-100. I love how Bob Costa says, "You don't want to leave Shane Mack here at the end of the game. You don't want to just leave him wide open." That's right. So we do that. And then if I was funny, they do the delay a game. I forgot about that stupid rule. You can just step over the line.
Why don't they do that anymore? Then I'm like, yeah.
And then it kind of looked like they did draw the play up for Mobley at the end of the game. I mean, because
I took a note on this. It looked like I think Charles Barkley, he was on the left side of the post in that picture.
Yeah.
I think it was supposed to go to two things. It was supposed to go to Barkley.
This play? Do we know?
I think there was 6 seconds left.
Supposed to go I think it was supposed to go to Charles, and then they're supposed to do a handoff, but I think the time was running out, so I can't remember the guy that was passing it in. But he kind of panicked, and then once Mobley got it, and I was like, man, if you look at the fourth quarter, Barkley had 12 points, Mack had 11, Hakeem had 5, Pippen had 5, and Mobley had 0 points in the fourth quarter. So I'm like, why? The one guy on your team that has not scored a bucket.
We're going to go with the rookie who hasn't scored all quarter.
Yeah, against Derek Fisher and Shaq. It made no sense to me.
See, I don't think they were going to him either. It just seemed like whatever play they were running, when I watched it back, I was like, I don't see how they thought it would work. Like, if they were trying to get it to somebody else, there was nothing special ran. Other than the only thing I could think of is, Barkley was – maybe the guy should have inbounded it, threw it right to Barkley in the post. But even Barkley didn't have his butt, like, on the block post.
I feel like everyone was crowded around the inbounder almost.
Yeah, it was a horrible last play. I don't know. I just thought it was a weird play. So Mobley gets it. He drives left. He probably thinks he's home free, and then Shaq makes a great play. Kind of, you know what I mean? Throws the block.
He was agile. He moved, yeah.
And then I like Shaq's reaction at the end. Obviously, and then that's again where I don't like I love not having replay. You know, there's a replay there. Oh, we gotta go back to the booth. There might be 0.1 seconds left on the clock there. Yeah, I think it's just not the same dramatic ending at that point.
Don't tell Derek Fisher that with .4 against the Spurs.
Yeah, maybe you're right, but you know what I mean. There was something I still enjoy about that part of it. So that was the end of that game. It was kind of an interesting play at the end of the game. I think we all thought that was probably not who was going to get the ball.
No, you have 3 Hall of Famers and the rookie gets it. That doesn't make any sense.
No gas nonsense.
All right, so they win that game. Game 2, Lakers end up blowing out the Rockets. They're up 2-0. Game 3, Pippen has I want to say 34 points. They win Game 3. They blow out the Lakers, and the Lakers come back and win Game 4. And they end up winning the series. Lakers end up losing to the Spurs the next round.
Spurs coming.
Spurs end up winning the championship. Lakers after that year obviously come back in 2000, win the championship for 3 straight years. So their history, they're basically just getting started after. This is kind of almost like the Warriors in our era, Warriors losing to the Clippers in Game 7, and then that kind of starting there seemed to be their dynasty a little bit after that. And so this is kind of what it seemed like with the Lakers there. Rockets, on the other hand, they play another year with Tyler. You brought
Pippen leaves.
Pippen leaves. He goes to the Blazers. Barkley has another injury-riddled year. They don't make the playoffs. He ends up getting hurt, Barkley, midway through that season, and he ends up retiring the next year after that. Olajuwon plays one more year at the Rockets, and then he goes on to the Raptors for one final year, and then he retires after that. The Rockets are kind of in bad shape for a few years. They get a little lucky with the Steve Francis trade from Vancouver, and that's, if we ever do a podcast on what's some of the worst trades in NBA history, that Steve Francis Vancouver trade is going to be on there. I mean, Vancouver.
Who won? Houston?
Yeah, Vancouver got literally nobody. They got I think it was Steve Francis somehow ends up on the Rockets, and the Rockets somehow get a first-round pick as well.
What?
And then the Grizzlies get, I forget who they get in the trade. Oh, they get Michael Dickerson in the trade. That's right. They get Michael Dickerson.
Oh, he's
my boy.
Bryce Drew. Yeah,
my
your other
boy, Michael Dickerson.
And then and guess what else they get? A first-round pick. I was like, what? You got 1 first-round pick, and the Rockets get a first-round pick? So just a horrible trade. So they don't make the playoffs till 2004 again. So that kind of wraps up that game. I got some questions for you guys. Wanted to see what you guys thought about this game. So I'll answer the first one, actually, Tyler, you get the first crack at this one. What's gotten better with age after watching this game?
The illegal defense.
You like that?
I like how it
switched. Okay, so that's a good one.
Adds more ball movement.
I think it adds more strategy.
No, I think ball movement has to do with that.
Well, defense is strategic anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes it easier to defend.
Well, don't you think they have to learn more concepts? Because before it's just pretty
much
straight
I think, because there's more things you can do.
Yeah, that's true. Casey? What's got better?
Basketball overall, like the rules.
Just what about this game gotten better with age? Looking back at it, what do you like better about it? Tyler likes that there's no legal defense.
Kobe is the best. I just like his maturation process from that. I felt like that was the starter point, like for him and Shaq. Like that was like literally 10 years of dominance for 2 superstars. I thought that was the coolest takeaway. That's why I guess I should have touched on it, but I thought that's why I did the game, is because it was the passing of the torch from like 3 of the greatest to 2 of the greatest. Because I think in that game, you probably have 5 of the top 50 that ever played the game.
Yeah.
I'll say 4 at least.
I would say 5.
Who you leave out?
Yeah.
I mean, who are we?
Charles, Pippen, Hakeem, Shaq, and Kobe.
Pippen's a tough one for me. I think he probably is in there though. So yeah, I guess top 50. I think what's got better with age is kind of on the same thing you, Casey, said. I just kind of like watching the youthfulness of them pre-champs. And I just thought that was fun watching. Just kind of pre-champion Lakers, kind of that emotion, a little different, not so much drama around that team in terms of. I'm sure there was drama, but just not the same as it was after you win a couple championships. And so that
They
was
were
kind
hungry.
of
It's like when you haven't had a meal.
I like their emotion, and I think Shaq's emotion on that block. I like that. So I think that's gotten better. What's gotten worse? I'm going to go first on this one. Tyler, you already touched it. Those Rockets uniforms are horrible. I mean, those are so horrible. It's not even funny how bad those are. And I mean, there's some other things that are worse. Like there's some game things I can say, but that's horrible.
They're awful. Like the Raptors era, those era with the the dinosaur all day.
The other thing that's got worse with age is these post touches to bums. Why is Stanley Roberts ever taking a post touch? Why is Antoine Carr ever getting a ball in the post? Like, thankfully, some of these coaches are so smart that they're like, if you take a shot and you're a big guy, you're out of the game immediately. You're just there to set screens and hand the ball off. Damn it. Yeah. So I think that's gotten better. What do you guys think? What's got worse?
I think the announcers are way better back then than they are now. I can't stand.
We just comparing
them.
Are we just
now.
saying the ESPN announcers? Those are mostly the ones I can't. I'm not.
I love the NBC broadcast back then. The ESPN, I like Mike Breen. I'm not gonna
Bob's
say
hard to top. So I mean, other than Bob,
I feel like the Bay Area is
Kevin Harlan's pretty good.
We live in the Bay Area, so I think John Miller,
Bob Fitzgerald.
King.
Bob Fitzgerald's the worst announcer in the history of announcing.
No, Bill King, John Miller, Joe Morgan for a little bit just did the broadcast with Jim.
I hated Joe Morgan.
Well, he was kind of like
the first two you mentioned.
He was the Pat Summerall for John Miller.
Ray Fosse.
Oh God, Mike Krukow,
Glenn Korak.
Shot of the game.
Shot of the game.
Play of the game. I'm gonna go Kobe.
Shaq
Kobe down.
Kobe.
Yeah, same here.
Nope, not even close.
What's your play of the game, Case?
You guys didn't watch that fourth quarter.
Well, I just like the Shaq Kobe alley-oop.
I mean, Kobe the lasting highlight of it.
I don't know. I
didn't say just the play you liked the most.
I didn't say my personal preference of liking. I just think the most important play of the game was definitely the Derek Fisher. Fisher still, huh?
The steal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather watch the alley-oop. All right, so yes, that was the winning play of the game. I'll give you that. Casey, what do you think was it could be good, bad coaching decisions in this game, looking back at it 20 years, basically 21 years?
Easily not having Hakeem in when Coutinho turned it over with a minute and a half. I don't know why you don't call timeout and just put him in for offense. It makes no sense.
Tyler, what do you think was coaching?
I don't know how Houston always finds these white bum point guards like Bryce Drew. What price is that?
Brent
Price, Matt Maloney, all these terrible white point guards.
I thought
why they play.
I thought the coaching decision for me was I thought two things. I thought the Olajuwon not getting him enough touches after the first quarter. I thought that was a big mistake. I thought they went away from him a little too much. And then the other thing I don't like is I don't like how these teams in the 90s, they don't run any off the ball action. Like there's only like one or two moves. Like when they go to the post, I don't like how they don't run anything off of it. It's so it's just so one dimensional. And I just think I don't know. I
think it has to do with illegal defense.
One thing I wanted to mention.
You don't have to.
One thing I wanted to mention. Do you guys remember seeing a corner three?
Yeah, Coutinho Mobley hit one.
How many corners?
And Michael Dickerson hit one in the third quarter.
How many corner threes are shot today?
They don't use it as a threat. That's for sure.
No. Yeah. And you would think if they dumped it in the post and the guy just stood in the corner, that would be just as big an advantage at times.
But with their wing reach, you can reach that almost where it's.
Yeah, true. That's true, especially with no double. All right, a couple more here. Kobe, Shaq, do you think they won the right amount of rings? Do you think there was a few out there for them? Or do you think they won one too many, one too less? What do you guys think of their run together?
if Shaq wanted to stay in shape and play, they could have got a couple more.
Yeah. Chase, what do you think? Do you think they got the right amount? And what do you think?
3. I think it's weird to say, but I think if one of them would have pulled like a Jordan and just like took a year off from like just seeing each other and realized like, which isn't possible, which is like go to another team for a year and be like, besides Miami, because Shaq was spoiled with Dwayne Wade. But I think they could have won probably 6 total.
Well, I'm going to say they won the right amount. And the reason I'm going to say that is because we just went through their playoff history. They were on the team a few years together. They weren't better than any of those teams they lost to. You know what I mean?
They were better than Detroit.
No, I'm talking about before.
Well, you said how many rings they could get.
I think
so they've been together since '97, right? And
they could have got the Detroit one. That's one more.
Okay, so what I think is that I think until this series right here, I don't think they deserve to win in '97. I don't think they deserve to win in '98. I don't think they deserve to win in '99. I think they could have got the 04 one, but they weren't obviously the better team there. I think they got the right number. I think they could have easily lost to the Kings, and they would only have 2. So I think that's kind of one that they should be thankful they have. So I think 3 ended up probably being the right number for them in the history of things. That's how I feel.
And I think they could have got a couple more if they liked each other and weren't little egomaniacs.
Yeah, easily. I think 2 easily, 3 for sure.
But how things work out,
1 for sure.
Got along, they got the right amount.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to see. I think that was that's why I wanted to ask that. Okay, 2 more. Bench mob player of the game we like seeing. I liked seeing Matt Bullard.
Hold on.
I like seeing Matt Bullard. Casey, who'd you like seeing off the bench? Give me somebody that didn't even play.
I didn't even pay attention to the bench. I was so fascinated on the game that I picked.
Yeah, but who was a player coming off the bench that you liked seeing?
Like in the game?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be somebody that didn't play.
No.
That's why I said Matt Bullard. He played 4 minutes and hit a jumper. Big, tall, white guy. We used to use him in the video games. How about your boy Sam Mack?
Yeah, the return of the Mac. Probably him. I mean, I don't know.
I also give second to Sean Rooks, who played 2 minutes when Shaq needed a break, and he got up 2 quick fouls on Shaquille O'Neal. So Sean Rooks gets the other. He gets the second. So for me, tall white guy, Matt Bullard. Tyler, who do you got for bench mob player of the game, or like who you just like seeing? I said Matt Bullard. It was just funny to see a tall white guy we used to use in video games.
Matt Bullard. I can't recall any like.
I also said my second one was Sean Rooks, who played 2 minutes when
he was in our draft.
I remember he was in it. Yeah, he was like that guy who played 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So. All right, last one. What in the game has changed an opinion you might have had going into the game? So something obviously you thought about going into the game. You kind of had a different outcome coming out of the game.
Who's going first?
Go ahead, T.
Watching The Last Dance and how great they made Scottie Pippen seem when Jordan retired those couple of years, saying he was like top player of the league, and I just have a hard time believing it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the top player in the game, you have
still
more impact.
33, 34 at that age.
It was an Iguodala by that point. Yeah,
you're not that old. You should be. I don't know.
Yeah. So that's what stood out. That's kind of what changed your mind with Pippen a little bit. Your opinion, kind of, for the better or worse?
Worse for Pippen, better for Jordan.
Casey, anything in this game that changed your opinion you might have had going into it? Like,
I still think Pippen was great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like.
I believe he asked Casey, not Tyler.
Well, I was finishing my point, buddy.
Just giving you a hard time. I just.
All right, hurry up.
Let's move on. No, Hakeem for sure. He was way better than I remember, even at that age.
That's a good one. I think for me, what changed my opinion was I kind of think some of these other players like Barkley and Elijah, I think they're still great players. Not gonna be wrong, but I think just watching some of the rules, it's just kind of hard to kind of sometimes seeing those no double teams on the post. It's just weird. You know what I mean? So these guys were really good individually in the post. It would just So I think it changed my mind on how good they are in the post, but how boring it is to watch that style of basketball a lot. Just dumping it down like that the whole game. Like I said, final couple minutes, I'm okay with it, but the whole game sometimes it can get a little methodical a little bit.
But think how dominant Barkley could be in this running era. Like how well he ran the court. Like,
oh, I think he'd be better. I'm just saying it's more entertaining. So I'm just saying, like,
for
kinda,
sure. Okay, I
so,
agree. Yeah.
So we'll put a bow on that game, guys. That's our second one doing a game here. I'm gonna pick the next one. Also, I'll text you.
Hey, let's try not to do a Lakers game. I'm a little Lakers out.
I'm definitely not doing a Lakers Shaq Kobe game at all. I have a good. I have a good.
I
Game.
did the first Lakers Shaq Kobe, so I'll take the blame. But
Should do a Grizzlies Raptors game.
big cut.
First ever Vancouver Grizzlies game. So I'll pick out the
Big
next
time.
one, guys. So that was fun going through that draft. So let's touch on the.
Let's do the NBA draft. I don't know if I have time for the NFL. I got to go to work.
What time do you work at?
4:30. I'm already late, but that's okay. I'm here for you guys.
Hey, so everybody that gets this podcast on Tyler's new Instagram account, you need to realize this. He's putting us ahead of anything else right here. We appreciate that, young man. Appreciate that. Casey, who wants the first pick in this draft? So what we're gonna do? Let's set it up real quick. What we're gonna do real quick is we're gonna try to do 2 episodes a week, and every day and every episode we'll try to do a draft. We're gonna start in 1992 NBA draft. We're gonna work our way up to now, and we're gonna do probably for most drafts top 15 players. Looking back at it, and so we just kind of want to do a redraft. Thought it'd be kind of fun to kind of look back at it. We'll probably do with other leagues too, but we're gonna start with the NBA theme right now. So we're gonna do the 92 draft first. Tyler, you want first pick?
I mean, sure.
Casey, you want first pick?
Okay, you want first pick?
Go for it, Tyler.
All right, I'll take Shaq.
Okay, well, so let's talk about Shaq.
I need to explain why I'm taking Shaq.
You don't need to explain. You don't need to
I
explain.
mean, I think this one's self-explanatory. Yeah.
Most dominant player ever.
I don't think you need to explain why we take Shaq. I think we just need to say that it's pretty obvious how good he was and how dominant he was in those early days with Orlando too. Especially.
Anybody watching this is probably gonna.
I'll help Tyler out. Shaq was a
Do you think he's
15-time All-Star, 23-7, 10-9 rebounds a game. 08-09 was his last All-Star game with Phoenix at 36 years old. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's very crazy.
There we go.
And I would also say that he
Got you, my man.
Yeah, exactly. I'd also say
In
that
his early years, he averaged like 3.5 blocks, and
I would say in
his last year, he averaged almost 18 points a game at 36. That's pretty good.
Boston?
No, that was Phoenix.
Oh, his last All-Star year.
Last All-Star year, yeah.
And I would say he's probably one of the 5 best number 1 picks ever. All right, because not every number 1 pick is obviously as so dominant as that. So, all right, Casey, you want number 2 pick? Who you going with me, man?
This one was a tough one.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, let's hear it.
I mean, most people don't think it would be, but I'd take Alonzo Mourning.
Okay, that's who I had too. Tyler,
that's who I had.
Hall of Famer, 7-time All-Star, 2002 to 2003 had the kidney disease, and after that he never averaged. Before he never averaged less than 13.6 a game.
And 2-time Defensive Player of the Year.
And 2-time Defensive Player of the Year.
And I forgot he won the 05-06 champion, or he was on that team that won the championship.
Yeah.
He did get a cheap ring there.
He did get a ring.
Okay, so Alonzo Mourning, good pick, Case. I'm gonna go 3rd pick overall. I'm gonna go a little bit off. Here, I'm gonna go Latrell Sprewell. I'm gonna take Latrell.
That was my 3rd.
I'm gonna go Latrell Sprewell. 16,000 points, 2nd most in this class. Got to the finals with the Knicks. Was obviously I don't know. I want to say 4-time All-Star, maybe 3 or 4 times. 4, and he was good.
Last Warrior to make it before Steph Curry. No, before David Lee.
David Lee. So I'm gonna go Latrell Sprewell. Unfortunately, I get some of the off the field stuff, but I'll take the few good years.
Hey, he wasn't afraid to take a big shot. Wasn't afraid to choke out his coach.
And I gotta watch my neck out.
I was gonna throw one out for you, Darren. Actually, he was the 93-94 All NBA team and All Defense in average that year. Sprewell and averaged 43 minutes per game in all 82 games played.
He was offered $50 million, and he said, "I got to feed my family."
I thought that was kind of cool, though. I was like, I didn't know he was All NBA and All Defense that year with 43 minutes per game.
I went
That's
to
43
guest all.
what?
minutes per game.
Yeah, that's impressive.
And let's throw out this little fact too: is he was the 24th pick in this draft, and there was only 27 total picks in each round. So Tyler,
Yep.
Tyler, you
One
got
more,
four.
Darren. One more real quick. Tom Gugliotta was the 6th pick. He was one-time All-Star. Latrell Sprewell was the 24th. He was the only All-Star after that 6th pick in that draft.
Yeah, you're right. He is.
My 4th pick, who was not an all-star, I'll take the whore, Robert Ory.
Just for obvious
Ultimate
reasons.
role player, always on a winner.
Clutch.
Had a little edge, I guess, because he threw a towel at a coach, so I don't mind that a little bit.
It was
So
funny. It was funny though. I looked up.
Daddy H probably.
Danny H could be a little beyond City.
You know what's funny though is I looked up Ori. He only averaged 7 points per game for his career.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm taking a role player. Just
I think
His
he only
career-
had
lead on a winning team.
His
He only
career
had
high was
100.
12.
That was like his
No.
first or second. Yeah, I want to say it was.
Yeah,
His career high was 12 points.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
There's no way. Okay, I'll second. I believe you, but that's the
Yeah,
thing.
Casey's right.
95 and 96 was
Fourth
his
year,
career
12
high.
points. Yeah. He averaged 10, 9, 10, 12, and then every year after that, it was single digit.
How do you average 10 points a game, but your career high, 12 a game for a season?
Yeah.
I thought you meant 12 a game, like for one
No.
game. His career high was 12.
No, for a season.
I was like,
Yeah.
there is no way.
He had like 24 in that Kings game.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, there's no way 12 points was his career high.
All right, Tyler, you get the 5th pick. Who you got?
He gets
Or
enough.
Casey, you get the 5th pick.
Man, I'm loading up my team.
I'm going to say Doug Christie.
All right, I had him 5 as well there. Tyler, do you have him 5?
I had him at 8.
For me, he was a four. He was a
If you
four-time
listen to our other
defensive-
podcast, you know why. Go ahead.
four-time all-defensive team, 17-year career, 6 seasons.
4-time. That's impressive.
6 seasons with 2 steals or more.
That's
4-time
impressive.
what? All-star?
4-time defensive team.
That's pretty good. That's better than Clay still. And he obviously
Vegas
wasn't.
screwed.
He was obviously an important role on those teams with the. And he actually played a longer career than I thought too.
He was really good on Toronto, and I didn't realize that.
Is that who he was with before he went to the Kings or to
Yeah.
the right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you went to Christie. He was drafted 17th overall by Seattle. All right, I'm gonna go with my boy from the Hornets. I'm gonna go with PJ Brown with the 6th pick. I thought there was a couple of other guys on the board I was thinking of, but I think I'm gonna go with PJ Brown. He played on more playoff teams.
I had him 9.
He was more physically tough on those teams, and I think he provided a little bit more than some of these other guys like Jim Jackson and stuff like that. So I'm gonna go with PJ Brown with the 6th pick. I'm gonna take my power forward to go along with Sprewell.
And I couldn't believe I read that. I didn't realize P.J. Brown was 3-time defense all-team too.
Yeah, well, he had some good years with the Heat, and but then he really started to play better when they got Barron.
And he's got a chip with the Celtics in 08-09.
It is. All right, so Tyler, who do you got with your next pick?
My 6th pick, just strictly because he got traded for Chris Webber. I'll take Tom Gugliotta, hoping I can get the same deal.
And he has the great nickname of Googs. Okay, so we're going Tom Gugliotta. The Warriors then they got Gugliotta and 3 first-round picks for Chris Webber, and they probably did nothing with those first-round picks. All right. Casey?
I'll take Christian Laettner. People don't realize he was actually a one-time All-Star, all-rookie team. First 8 years, averaged 16 points per game.
Did marijuana.
I had him
at one point during
7th.
the league.
I had him before Christie and PJ.
Yeah.
We still have someone I had 5 that hasn't been picked.
Yeah, I'm not there. And then okay, so you're gonna go with Laettner, you said, Case? And
Yeah.
that means you get the Jordan Wizard years too, a little bit. The Jordan
I said
Wizard
his
Laettner.
first 8 years. I said his first 8 years, 16.
He was solid on those, dude. All right, I'm gonna take Jim Jackson with the next pick.
Damn it.
He was okay. I mean, he had some good years. He was a good scorer, but I feel like he's one of those players on a history. Never really played for. He just seems like almost like a Monte Ellis type guy, where like they're not the same player, but like he just wanted
Put up
to be.
numbers.
He wanted to
with
be
a
that.
loser.
He just kind of wanted to be that guy. I never could realize he's not that guy. So if you played maybe a 6-man role, you'd be on a better team or something like that. He played for an amazing, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 teams in his career. So he was around. He averaged 14 points a game, pretty good numbers, better than PJ Brown and Leitner, but I just felt like wasn't the guy I would want. Actually, I don't mind him as an announcer now, though. I'll say that. All right.
So with the 11th, no, what pick?
We're on the 10th pick now.
I'm going to go way down the draft board to the second round, the Golden State Warriors pick, and take Sasha Danilovic. He was an Italian League MVP. He averaged 15 points a game in the NBA, but only played like 2 years.
This is the lefty, right?
Not Marcelonis.
Oh, okay.
Is it Marcelonis? I don't know. It's pronounced – I don't know who it is. But no, because he never played on the Warriors. He played on the Heat to start his career.
Okay, Sasha. Okay,
Danilovic.
That's the guy that.
Round.
Yeah, then he died, right? He got in a car accident or something.
No, that's Drazen Petrovic.
Oh yeah. I don't know if I remember. I don't remember this.
I literally have no idea who
Yeah,
this guy
Sasha.
is.
I know who you're
he
talking
was.
about.
I looked up points per games on these guys. And
Yeah, like
he did.
10 or something like that. Yeah.
All right, so we're going with a surprise there, big Sasha. All right, Casey, who you got?
And he once got suspended for being too physical. So, and he was a 6'7" shooting guard. I'll take him.
I'll take
right.
Jim Jackson.
He's
I
already
already took him.
Oh, excuse me, LaFonso Ellis.
Alfonso. All right.
Yeah, he was really
Right.
good on the Nuggets with Dikembe. He was a good, kind of
He
like
never made an
PJ.
All-Star team. I thought maybe he did. He never did.
No, he never did. He was kind of like a poor man's PJ Brown with Alonzo Mourning with Dikembe.
He's going to
Poor
take
man's PJ.
puberty.
All right, I'm gonna take our boy Clarence Weatherspoon then. I'm gonna take him. He actually had a pretty good career. I want to say he made the All-Star team one time. I got it here. No All-Star game, but he did average 11 points a game, 7 rebounds, played almost 1,000 games. So I'm gonna go Clarence Weatherspoon with my 4th round pick here. Okay, I think we're down to our last round, I believe here.
Yes. My final pick will be because of a great nickname, and he could shoot the ball. I'll take Walt the Wizard Williams.
That is who I had also down there, Big Walt.
I thought you were going to go with Todd Day.
He looks like a 90-year-old man too. Big Walt on this picture. That's a good pick. I think he was actually, what was it, 7th overall pick? I want to say. Yes, 7th overall by the Kings.
I need to do more research for this next time. I didn't know we were going this. I thought we were just doing a quick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 between us.
No, I try to break it down.
I like it. I like this style. This is good.
So he averaged there because as we start to do this more, we'll even get more fun when we get to some of the other guys. Okay, Casey.
Tracy Murray played for the Toronto Raptors. Had a nice career high with, I think, 13, 15 a game. Just
Tracy
for one
Murray.
year.
Raptors.
Yeah, he played on the T-Mac baby Raptors.
When was he drafted?
He was 92. He was old, man, towards the end.
Yeah.
I didn't have him in my
Or
top.
not McGrady, excuse me.
No, Tracy Murray, 18th pick overall.
I think he did play with McGrady, actually. I could be wrong, but I thought he did.
He might have. I don't.
Yeah, probably in Toronto for a year. Looking back at it.
But yeah, he was a good shooter, good player.
All right, so there, and I'm gonna. There's 4 names I got still on my top 15.
Yeah, I have a couple on mine also.
So
Jonathan?
I'm gonna go with my number 12 then. I'm gonna go with John Barry. I gotta go to the Barry family for
I
his
did not have
3-point
him on my list.
for the 3-point shooting, and I had him for. I thought he had a few good years with the Kings there. So I got John Barry there. Does anybody want to do one more little? If they got a couple of notes, let's do a quick.
I have 2 guys that are left.
Why don't you name one of them, and then Casey can name one.
Well, I said him earlier. I'll go with Puberty Davis.
Okay, Hubert Davis. Also, you get his announcing skills towards the.
Yes, that's the number 1 reason I took him.
No, he
You
was
could
probably
call the games from the sidelines.
Hey, that's the type of player that nowadays would be much more valuable.
Oh,
Much
yeah.
more valuable. I mean, he would have a career. I think he ended up playing 11 seasons.
He like
But
Dellavedova.
I gotta look. I want to see this actually real quick. I'm gonna ask you guys, how many threes a game do you think he averaged in his career?
Making
not
or
making. Taking.
3.5.
2.3.
He had 2.4. I guarantee if he played nowadays, he'd be averaging close to 5 a game. 5 a game. I'm gonna throw out a couple other names, and then we'll get out of here. Anthony
Peeler.
and then of course I had Popeye Jones for the ears. He
Popeye.
was also
What
Popeye was
about-
also
I
available.
thought,
What about
I thought it was
Adam?
for the chicken.
And then you
What
get his
about-
son that was an all-star for the Chicago Blackhawks too. So you get
What
his
about
son as
Adam?
well.
No, he wasn't the Blackhawks. He was on a different team.
What about
Predators.
Adam?
I think he's
Yeah,
on the Predators.
yeah, I think you're right. I don't know
What about-
for sure.
Who?
What about Adam Keefe?
I did not have Adam,
Adam
Keefe.
Hey.
Queef, what are
Hey.
you talking about?
Hey, fun fact for both of you guys though. Before we head out, did you know Arkansas had 4 players drafted in that draft, and then
Yeah,
Alabama?
Jason Caffey.
No, they had in this draft 4 players drafted.
Oh no, I'm thinking of Alabama.
Oliver
No,
Miller.
Alabama. Do you know who the first player was selected?
I don't
Oliver
know. I know
Miller?
it's Ori, Jason Caffey, Spreewell.
No, there's only 2
No,
in here.
that's Alabama. Casey St.
Yeah.
Arkansas.
Arkansas has 4.
Oliver Miller.
Alabama. Arkansas had nobody that is even relevant. Alabama had 2.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Oliver
but
Miller.
no one that actually won a championship or did anything with their life in basketball.
No, but you're saying that there was 4 guys drafted from Arkansas.
Yeah, and Alabama
only-
had 2, which was
So Caffey
Ori.
didn't get drafted yet.
No, Ori was first in the Alabama,
And then Spreewell.
and then Spreewell. Exactly. I didn't
And
know they
Ark-
played on the same team.
For Arkansas,
Yeah, even Jason Caffey was on that team. He must have got drafted the year before or year after.
Yeah, he wasn't
Arkansas-
drafted this year.
you have Todd Day, Oliver Miller, and Lee Mayberry.
And there's one
And
more too.
And then in the second round,
Was he
somebody
related
named
to Stephon?
Isaiah
Just
Morris.
kidding. That's Marbury.
All right, you guys, that was fun. I think that'll be
All
more
right.
fun. The more 93 draft, that will be a good one. That's the Chris Webber draft with Anthony Hardaway. So
That'll be good.
I hope everybody enjoyed this next episode. We're gonna try to get it online here. Yeah, maybe check out Tyler's Instagram. We're gonna try to get it on YouTube here as well. So it was fun looking at the game, guys, and look forward to the next one.
Yeah,
Tyler,
it'd be nice.
I'll
enjoy your
plug
work,
it
my
next
friend.
time.
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
no. Film your video to work.
The Instagram's all for this.
All
Uh,
right, gentlemen, that was fun. All right, guys, take it easy.
Later.
Later.